All right, hello everybody. I am triple stacking this baby because, like I probably said in the very first video, I have a limited time to do things now. So this is Jay from Clandestine Carry Concepts, and today we are going to talk about who should be a direct action guy. So I've already kind of been alluding to it in my last videos that this channel is geared towards providing people the means, the mentality, and the capability to be a direct action guy or girl. So, I briefly talked about, and not briefly at all, it was a half hour long. I did talk about all the different elements of what a DA guy should have and things like that. And I am going to do specific videos covering equipment usage, firearms, targets to hit, things like that. I'm going to do that in time because I want to practice what I preach. I want to have the equipment. I want to execute some of these things so you guys kind of know what I'm talking about. And it just takes time, and I don't even have any people watching my videos yet. So why the fuck am I going to waste all this damn production value? Start hitting that like and subscribe, leave some comments, maybe send me some money. No, I don't even have a Patreon yet. But the point is, let me get some engagement, and that's going to further expedite it. But this does give way to who should be a direct action guy. I think that's a fair question. So, unlike a Minuteman, everyone has the potential to be a Minuteman. And the reason I say that is because there are roles that a Minuteman can fulfill that aren't combat related at all. You need supply guys. You need people to stand and watch. You need people who can recon an area. You need people who can interact with the community. You need people who can fucking raise livestock, sew clothing. People don't think that's a Minuteman, but it really is. What a Minuteman is someone who is active in their community who will then take a rifle to go and defend that community. Sometimes there's offense involved, but for the majority of it, you are still participating in a normal society, and you may just have an extreme circumstance happen that you need to defend it. Well, that's not what a DA guy is, okay? And we need to get serious right off the bat with this video. I am not advocating you to be a DA guy because you are going to die by doing it, okay? What I'm telling you is that in my experiences in the real world, as much as you're going to want a community of people who will raise their arms in defense of their home, you may not live in that community. You may not have a group of people who are willing to fight for their home, and you may have people who just lay down for an occupying force or a tyrannical government. And that's unfortunate. You may not have the means to move. You may not have the ability to leave your family. I get that. So, that right there is a big indicator on if you should be a DA guy. Do you have a community? Do you have a group of people who will work with you? Do you have a terrain that would make it very difficult for an occupying force to come and take what they want from you? A DA guy is someone who can take initiative. And I think that is one of the key traits, if not the key trait. I'm lazy as shit, all right? So these may or may not be things that I feel a person has because I'm lacking. So there's always psychology involved in anything we do, right? So this is what a DA guy should be because I'm not that and I should work to be that. No. There's going to be extenuating circumstances in every fucking walk of life. And when things fucking fall, and there needs to be someone filling these shoes, you're going to find maybe you became a DA guy for completely different reasons that I couldn't even think of, because we still live in a world with rule of law. So, this is all pretend. It's all imaginary. As all the cool YouTubers say, this is just Minecraft. So, but that key trait of initiative, man, when you hear something, when you find out something that's relevant, you got to fucking act on it. Now, A next to important key trait would be planning. You have to be good at planning. All right, because it takes guts to hear, hey, this outpost isn't going to be as heavily guarded for X reason, and be like, okay, well, I'm fucking them up tonight. Cool. How? How are you going to do it? Is it just going to be you and your fucking your little Ruger 1022? Good luck. You might get a guy. A guy. What is that? What does that really got in this on the grand scheme of things? No, you got to coordinate. All right. Maybe you got to grab 2 or 3 other guys, and you got to convince them to do this operation with you. Maybe you got to go and see your local area. Hey, has anyone gone to that outpost recently? Has anything changed? You know, what are some terrain features that I could fucking stalk at? Things like that. You know, that's another important trait. If you can't plan, I would not say do not stray and be a Minuteman and not be a DA guy when your community may need it. Another important aspect, and I can't believe I'm saying this because I'm getting this from a video game. If no one's doing it, you need to be doing it. And that comes from, because I used to play a medic in a lot of video games, because I used to be a hospital corpsman. I would look around, I'd be playing Battlefield, and I'd be like, all right, well, we got a lot of fucking recon, and we got a lot of engineers, but we don't have any fucking docs. So I guess I'm playing the medic today. If no one's doing it, someone has to do it. And that someone should be you. Again, that's part of taking initiative. But maybe you don't have the balls to fucking do it. And I get it. Fear is a powerful thing, man. 100%. I've not been afraid in a while, but the last time I was afraid, it was from heights. I'm afraid of heights, and I rock climb because I try to conquer that fear. But one time I wasn't as prepared as I should have been, and I climbed a little bit too high, and I was fucking petrified. And I thankfully had a guide who was able to walk me down and get me where I needed to be. But dude, I fucking know it. All right, I've been afraid pretty recently. That was 3 years ago, and that was when I had a guide who could help me. Imagine going out on a mission and bullets start whizzing through your head, and you're like, "Oh fuck, I really shouldn't have done this." Well, sink or swim, baby. If you plan ahead, maybe you can mitigate some of that fear. If you take an initiative, you probably already have a higher fear threshold than your average human being. But again, if no one's doing it, you should be doing it. It's really important. I think the difference between a modern militia and Minuteman concept is that you're protecting your home. Protecting usually in a defensive role. And I'm telling you, again, from reality, not from, just experience, the best defense is a good offense. You are probably going to paint your area a bigger target if you go out and you do work. So you're going to have to really plan and choose and weigh the risks. That's someone who usually initiative is not a trait of. They don't usually go hand in hand. So you also need someone who is empathetic and tied to their community. All right. Someone who's proactive in the community, who knows the names of their neighbors, who knows the skills that they have to offer. You really got to weigh, man, like shit. If I hit this fucking target and they come back to my village, who are they going to fucking take out in retaliation? Because that's going to happen. Retaliation is going to happen. You should be afraid of that. All right. What if you lose the only fucking person who knows how to work on cars in your area? What if you lose the only person who can reliably grow crops? Your community now has a much worse detriment than initially. If your mission fails, your community suffers. So there should be a well thought out plan before you execute. And in that, your community needs to be on your mind at all times. You don't want someone who's reckless, who's just going to go out, make a lot of fucking noise, bring that shit back. Besides that, you want someone who knows the area. And not just knows the area, they fucking can tell you blindfolded how to get to somewhere. All right. There are some country boys that I fucking met out in the fucking Boogaloos, the Appalachians, and they're just like, yeah, you go on 30 miles, blah, blah, and it's just like, well, okay, what? Like, I need a map, I need some GPS, and they're fucking just trudging along, and they fucking go, and they drop you off, and they go back home. And you're just like, bro, I am terrified. Have you ever just been surrounded by absolute silence in a green forest? Your heartbeat can be louder than anything else in there. All right. But these motherfuckers have been doing it since they were 8, 9 years old, and they just go up and down and don't give a shit. That is someone who should consider being a DA guy. Someone who knows the area, because if they aren't afraid to get lost, if something bad does happen and they need to fucking exfil and it's a hot one, they may know all the little nooks and crannies to hide. They may know all the good areas and the back routes to get back to their home. That's someone I would want with me. Now, I live in fucking northwest suburb of Chicago, so I know a couple of ways to get to some suburbs that may or may not be easy, because I had that adventurous spirit when I was a kid. I've walked everywhere. If it's within a 15-mile radius, I've walked to it at one point or another. And the city itself. You know, if you're in the city, oh my god, dude, let's take a quick second and fucking talk about that shit. If you're a DA guy, you are probably in a major populated area, because Minutemen are going to get fucking demolished. You are not going to be able to protect a city. You may have little pockets and areas of a city, kind of like a not positive example, but kind of like the whole thing in Oregon where they had like that fucking enclosed city and shit like that. But something like Chicago, no fucking way. An occupying force is taking that. A DA guy is the only thing stopping that flow. You know what I mean? And even then, that's a losing battle. That is putting a fucking a piece of tape on. You know, it's like that Flex Seal shit. It's throwing a fucking tape on a gallon that's fucking leaking. Like it's not gonna hold for long. You know, they only show that for like 2 seconds because that thing don't work. That thing don't work. So if you live in a major city, you got to understand that, like, if you chose to stay, all right, and you probably should. Bugging out, I'll probably eventually make a video on bugging out the non-desirable things of that. But so many people can tell you, man, if you don't know your ass from a hole in the ground and you're going to go suddenly be in an area that you've never fucking been before, but you heard because, oh, yeah, well, I live in Illinois, and southern Illinois is like the fucking South, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no, dude, I've been to the fucking South, all right? Like, no, I don't want to be in southern Illinois. Fucking cornfields, dude, that are like hundreds of acres long. Like, I don't know where a fucking farmhouse is in that shit. And I'm going to set up on some farmer's fucking land who's probably better armed than me? Absolutely not. And that's just here. Imagine go doing that shit in the Appalachians. Imagine go doing that shit in the fucking Rockies. Imagine doing that shit in the fucking deserts. So, you got to weigh that shit. Because maybe, just maybe, the occupying force isn't treating you guys that badly. Well, I'm not saying you're a sympathizer. This is all still hypothetical in Minecraft, right? Until I fucking physically see violence in my neighborhood, I am not going to judge anyone for any actions that they may or may not do. Just know it's for the good of your community. A DA guy has got to be someone who's fucking selfless. You are not doing this shit to satisfy some sort of Call of Duty fake bloodlust bullshit. You care about your community. You are doing these things to keep your community as safe as possible before that shit comes to you. And if retaliation happens, you are the reason for it. You are responsible for it. So you need to make sure that your fucking operations are successful as possible. And if they're not, that's on you. And now other people have suffered because of you. But you need that empathy. You need that selflessness to drive you. Because what if you're just really the only capable person? Maybe there's a bunch of people who want to do that shit with you, but they just can't. If someone's got 2, 3 kids, I don't want them going and doing DA shit. I don't care if you're fucking Navy SEAL. You got kids, man. I want your kids to not be fucking hungry. All right? And I'm sorry, this is not even from a selfless thing. This is from a lazy thing. I don't want to have to take care of your wife and kids because you fucking died. I'll go die. You stay here, all right? You be cool. Unless your wife's hot as shit. And even then, I'm just not a kids guy. I don't like kids, But I'm not a parent. So why would someone who has a lot to lose go and do this role? Because you're going to lose. Like I opened with this shit. You're going to fucking die if you're a DA guy, all right? This is not you as a special operations guy in fucking Iraq or Afghanistan, where you have the whole U.S. military complex to probably keep your ass alive. It's not going to happen. You're going to bring 4 fucking tourniquets, 1 for each of your goddamn limbs. You're going to get shot in the fucking arm. You're going to put that tourniquet on, and all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh shit, yeah, there's no hospitals. What do I do? Bro, I was a corpsman. There's very little you can do. All right? At home, without a surgeon. So, again, you really need to weigh, is this a responsibility you want to shoulder? All right? But that needs to happen. That's what I'm also trying to explain to you guys. There is not going to be a single situation where there aren't people who are being bullied, who are being exploited, who are being much, much worse. But again, because I don't want my YouTube videos to get taken down, I have to leave to your imagination. But you can go ahead and you can Google many times in history where people had to have a clandestine resistance force fight back. You know these reasons that I'm talking about. You don't want your community subjected to that shit. And if you do not rise up and cause them some sort of friction, they're just going to keep doing it. Because why wouldn't it? As much as I would like to think that even massive military organizations like Russia and China have some sort of control or discipline, look at what Russia's been doing to their people in Ukraine. They're grabbing people from prison and just tossing them over as fucking cannon fodder. They're sending underage kids to fucking die because they don't care about bodies. Russia and China have so much of a population. They don't give a fuck. Well, when you don't give a fuck about the people who you put into your military, you're going to get some situations where they're just going to do what they want. I'm not saying it's a lack of discipline, a lack of control. Their officers, I'm sure, are really keeping that shit reined in. But American soldiers did some shit in Nam. American soldiers did some shit in Iraq and Afghanistan. I don't like the fact that people who wore my uniform, my flag for my country, did some disgraceful, heinous shit, all under the guise of war. Because we think we're God's chosen. We're the main character in our story. I got news for you. That's not how it fucking works. All right? And even in the best circumstances, an occupying force is still going to exploit whatever communities it's attached to or near. So, kind of wrap it all together. The DA guy is writing a blank check payable up to and including their lives, just like a U.S. soldier, sailor, airman, marine, and guardian did when they raised their hand to swear an oath. If you don't take that seriously, don't do it. There will be consequences. Those consequences could sometimes not even be you. Your community may suffer a retaliation strike. And you need to be sure that the attack that you launched was worth that retaliation. This isn't a game. This isn't Minecraft. This isn't Call of Duty. This is what's going to happen a few years from now. And I tell you, 100%, it's going to happen. A militia, Minuteman force, that needs to happen. DA guy, unfortunately, will have to happen. So if you're going to shoulder that burden, you need to take initiative. You need to have plans. You need to work within your community. You need to have empathy. You need to be selfless. And you need to be ready to die for the cause. And you need to believe in that cause. Whatever it is. freedom, liberation, justice, peace, whatever you think it is, when you take these missions on, just know you got a handful in you. Statistically, you have a handful of missions in before you get caught or you get fucked. And that's at best. That's when you've gone through all training. That's when you fucking, your neighbor's a Green Beret who's got nothing else going on, so he partners up with you. They'll fucking tell you, man. And you know what? For real, if you know any veterans, if you are a veteran, and you know people who are in some special operation shit, you fucking talk to them about this stuff. Show them this video. Or just be like, hey, I've heard this concept of like a direct action guy. They're going to fucking tell you, man. This is not just me making up some fucking shit. You have a finite fucking level of capability. It's just numbers, all right? I'm not good at math. In fact, if it wasn't for some saving graces enlisting, I probably wouldn't have been able to get in because of fucking math. But that shit aside, occupying force is always going to have much greater numbers. So you're really going to have to pick and choose the shit that you do, because every time you lose one, that's like losing 100 to them. And you really will need to make them lose 100, if not more, before they're just like, all right, maybe something's up. Now, granted, they're going to retaliate whether you kill 1 or 5. But to start doing what some of these prior resistances in our history have done, you really got to do some work. And I'll leave you with this. A DA guy has an easier time and a harder time than in prior history. All right? How do you have it easier? Well, we've refined our tactics. We have more spaces available to hide. We have more accessibility to gear, quality gear. We have communications. My God, even if our communications are censored and we still have our cell phones some way, I guarantee you that networking right there is still going to make missions accessible way more than it was 100 years ago, even 50 years ago. How is it going to be harder? Even the best AR-15 with a bump stock, dual trigger, fucking, drop-in sear. It's cool, man. We got some automatics, right? The vast majority of our shit's going to be semi-automatic against fully automatic. And I can guarantee you, very, 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 very few of us have a full auto LMG somewhere. So you're going to need to do a couple of missions to acquire one of those LMGs. And even just getting one of those is probably going to take some casualties. But they also have a better battle net. Their communications is going to be so much better than yours. So you're really going to need to dig into your community, find these little hidey holes, it's fight fire with fire. If they have good communication, you have better communication. You talk to the people person to person. They talk over the fucking radio. Get people on your side. I'm going to eventually make a video on how to do some PR shit. I've already kind of talked about it before in some earlier videos. You can go check that out in the meantime. But we have never had it both easier and harder in human history to launch an effective resistance against an occupying force. And a DA guy is shouldering that burden 24/7. The difference is, over a Minuteman militia, is that a Minuteman raises their rifle in defense of their home. A direct action guy is taking their rifle and keeping that fight from coming to home. But you're still a part of your community, and you still need to have something to offer besides this. So my final fucking tip for you, if you're going to shoulder the burden of being a DA guy, is you have to have something valuable. Most likely a skill. Hey, you might have a fucking McMansion where you can host a bunch of people, and maybe that's all you got. Cool. All right, that's something. But you're probably going to need to have some skills, some capabilities that make you a valuable asset so people are willing to protect you. So when retaliations start, doors getting fucking kicked in, People are getting pulled out of their homes and like, who the fuck did this? They're willing to lose their lives so you can keep doing what needs to get done for the betterment of the community. If you don't have a skill, fucking work on one. If you don't feel competent in your skill, get better at it. You should be spending your money on two things: training and getting better at your skill, making yourself valuable as an asset to your community. All the other shit, guns, gear, secondary, tertiary. So that's what you should do, and that's who you should be if you're willing to take on the burden of a DA guy. If you don't have most of those traits, I'm not going to say you shouldn't be one, because circumstances are going to happen and you're going to fall into a role one way or the other, or someone you know is going to fall into that role. I got to tell you, man, if I see some shit down my fucking community streets, it's going to take very little for me to want to be in this role. That doesn't mean I'm going to succeed in it. And in fact, I'm probably going to fucking succumb to the numbers just like everybody else. But I cannot stand by and see my community suffer. And I've already been seeing it. This is just what's palatable. Yeah, we're all poor. Yeah, we're all fucking hungry. It's going to be different in the next year. We are going to think that this is the worst time that we are in. I can tell you, it's going to get so much worse. Good old Risky Chrissy would say, it's going to get worse before it gets worse. And I'm 100% telling you that's true. So, hopefully this video has enlightened you. I may make a continuation on it with some other assets and things that may not put you in a DA role, but would help you more successfully be that DA role. But until then, I think this kind of covers a good amount of stuff. Thank you very much for watching, if you did the whole way through. Stay safe and stay tuned.